Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Crimson and in this video we are going to be doing yet another Warhammer 40,000 army showcase, and with this video I am going to be showcasing my Adeptus Custodes army. So the Custodes are actually my most recently made army. For the longest time, I wasn't a super big fan of them. I just didn't really like them that much. However, after reading a bunch of the books and getting more into the lore than I previously had, I came around and ended up liking them a lot, so I decided to start an army of them. And one thing you may note, compared to some of the other videos, is that the army is rather small. That's just because the Custodes are one of, if not the most powerful army in the Imperium of Man. So, as I had previously mentioned, the Custodes are the finest warriors in the Imperium of Man, each and every single one of them being handpicked by the Emperor himself. Similar to the Space Marines, they have undergone extreme genetic augmentation and physical alterations. To put it simply, what a Space Marine is to a standard human is what a Custodes is to a Space Marine. That is how big of a gap there is. I know a lot of people who are not super familiar with Warhammer may see the Custodes and just think, oh, they're gold Space Marines with kind of fancy armor, but no, that is definitely not the case. They are so much better in every single way. Their role in the Imperium is to guard the Golden Throne and the Imperial Palace where the Emperor sits on his Golden Throne. They very rarely ever leave Terra, and if they do, it's only on extreme circumstances. And just as a little fun fact to wrap this section up, whenever the Custodes are deployed somewhere for combat, the Imperium and the Adeptus Ministorum automatically mark that conflict as resolved, even before they arrive. So as soon as they know the Custodes are on the way, they just mark it as, we already won this. That is how powerful these guys are. Now, they are also super expensive to make. So there's not that many of them. There's maybe only 10,000 Custodes, I want to say. And unlike Space Marines, where there's the new Primaris Marines, you can't make any more Custodes. So once a Custodes dies, that's it. There's no more replacing them, which would be extremely bad for any other army. However, with the Custodes, with their fatality rates being so low that it doesn't really matter. To put it into perspective, just since the Horus Heresy, that's 10,000 years, the Custodes still number at 10,000. So yeah, that's just insane to me. So anyway, that is my little lore dump out of the way. Let us get into the army and the units. I forgot to mention it, but the Custodes are virtually immortal. Unless they are killed, they will stay alive essentially forever. And they also do not need to eat or drink or sleep. Or if they do, they need to do it very, very rarely. Their job as sentries guarding the palace and the throne, they will stand there for years. So here we have one of the two different unit types which serve as the Custodes' basic infantry, and these guys are the Custodes Guards. The Custodian Guards wield the standard and signature weapon of the Custodes, the Guardian Spear. This weapon is used throughout most of the Custodes ranks and different unit types, and it is essentially a spear combined with a bolter. So it is good in both melee and ranged combat. Let me pick one up so you guys can see a little bit better. So this is one of them here. As you can see, he has his gold armor. All of the Custodes are some variation of gold. And here is the weapons. As you can see, it is a two-handed spear with a bolter with then the spear blade coming out at the end. The spear blade is an energy blade. I have my energy blades colored a couple different types of colors just to kind of mix things up, but for the most part, a lot of them are either blue or green or orange or anything like that. They also have these red plumes, which is another thing you are going to be seeing a lot with the Custodes. So in terms of gameplay, the guards are good at defending things, which kind of makes sense, you know, given the name guards. So for stuff like holding an objective, these are the units you want to have on the objective. They are great at it, and yeah, and they are led by a shield captain. So shield captains are veteran units who have shown their prowess in leadership, combat, and strategy. So they are very skilled individuals on all aspects of warfare. This is the one I have guarding here, so let me just show you him. So his armor is a bit bulkier than the others, compared to the guards that we saw. He has a white loincloth as well as a white cape, and also has his spear. His blade is orange. I just did that just to kind of make him stand out. And he also has this little knife in his hand, which is cool. And given that this is to scale, this is just something I find funny, that given that this is to scale and Custodes are like 8 or 9 feet tall, this knife must be like a sword to a normal human, which is, to me, I just think is really funny. And I don't have a helmet on him just because I think he looks better without it. And I like that the more senior Custodes look older. It just goes to show like they have been serving for so long that even for immortals, they are physically old or have the physical features of someone who is old. Okay, so moving up next, we have our next group. This is the second standard infantry, and these are the Wardens. So, whereas the guards are best used in holding and defending objectives, the Wardens are best used on the offensive. They excel at taking the fight to the enemy, and once they get close enough, the enemy is essentially finished. There are many different types of models and stances between the two. I'll show you a few of them. This is one of them here. As you can see, gold armor. And one of the things that is different about the Wardens and the Guards in terms of their models is that the Guards all have this cloth around their waist. I personally have painted all of mine red because that's kind of what I've seen it being done in canon, but it can really be any color you want. And the Custodes also have a lot of gemstones inlaid in their armor. So as I'm going around, if you see, you might see little bits of green or blue or red coming out of their helmet or their shoulders or the center of their chest pieces. Those are all little bits of jewels. There are some other units I just want to quickly show you guys. The next is this guy, who is a standard bearer for the Custodes. So you can see him here holding his spear, but more importantly, he has the staff of the Aquillon, which is really cool. I really like this model a lot. I'm always a fan of standard bearer units in my 40k armies. And then the other standard unit I wanted to show you from the Wardens is this guy. So he has a shield inlaid with a massive ruby, and the shield itself is in the shape of an eagle, holding a sword, which is also inlaid with a massive ruby. And yeah, so I can only imagine how big this sword must be compared to like your standard Imperial citizen. But yeah, and leading this group of Wardens is a Blade Champion. So a Blade Champion is a role given throughout the Adeptus Custodes to those who have shown exceptional martial prowess and combat ability, specifically close combat ability or melee combat. It is one of the highest honors that can be bestowed upon a Custodes, and even compared to other Custodes who are also all melee fighters, these guys are head and shoulders above them. That is how good they are. So I just thought it would be fitting to place him in front of the Wardens, since the Wardens are an offensive type unit. So as for the model, the Blade Champion has two blades. They are smaller than the sword that we saw on this Warden here, but he has two of them. Sorry, I forgot to mention this, but as for the amount of units, I have 27 of the guards and 17 of the wardens. But yeah, just thought I should probably mention that just so you guys know. One thing I just want to quickly mention, I forgot to mention this when I was talking about the guards and the shield captains, is that this is a custodian guard. However, let me just put it down so you guys can see better. The stance, the position of the axe and the little knife, as well as his waistcloth and at both the back and the front, are identical to that of the shield captain. So I'm not sure if this guy is a shield captain or not, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. I'll give you guys a quick side-by-side to show you what I mean. So just to show you guys, here is the guard unit that I am talking about, and here is a shield captain. Now, they have the exact same pose, the exact same loincloth, the exact same cloth on their backs, only this guy has like a full cape, whereas this guy's only goes up to his waist. And they also have the same knife out. So the models are extremely similar, which makes me think that maybe this guard might be a shield captain of the guard. I'm not even sure if that's actually an official unit, but still, I thought it was worth pointing out. So our next unit type is the Sagittarium Guard, and they are a little bit different than the other Custodes that we have seen so far, mainly in that they are a ranged unit only. They do not have a melee weapon. They still can do melee damage, don't get me wrong, but their focus is for long-range combat to kind of soften up the enemy, so then when the rest of the Custodes get in, it's just even easier to kill them in melee. So this is what they look like. They don't have the big pointy helmets that the Wardens and the Guards do. They do, however, or some of them do, have the red waistcloth of the Guards. The armor is also slightly different. It's a little bit darker than the other Custodes. And their weapon of choice is the Allarus bolt caliber, which you can see here. So it looks kind of similar to a bolter. You might mistake it for a bolter at first glance, but it is much more powerful and has a much higher range, making them a lot more efficient in their job. You can actually see the ammo in this guy's gun here. But yeah, these guys are actually not that popular on the tabletop. For Custodes players, however, I absolutely love them. Not because I love using them on the tabletop. They are fun to use, but I personally just think the model is really cool, so that's why I like them. And as for the amount, I have 9 of them. I did have 10, however, one fell in battle to my cat, so may that brother rest in peace. Anyway, leading these guys, we have my second blade champion. So, very same model as the one we just saw. Slight difference is this guy has a black cloak, and it's kind of hard to see. He has a pattern like a laurel painted on it in gold, or embroidered onto it, I should say. And same thing, 2 swords, only this time I gave him 1 blue and 1 kind of yellowish orange-ish, just to make it a little bit different. So yeah, that is the Sagittarium Guard. Next up, we have the Allarus Terminators. So the Allarus Terminators are one of the types of Terminator units that the Custodes have. They follow the same principle as Space Marine Terminators, in that they have heavier armor, heavier weaponry, and are just able to take a lot more damage and deal a lot more damage. So they are great at holding objectives, like the guards. They are great at launching attacks, like the Wardens. But mainly what a lot of people use them for is to kind of strike directly into the heart of your enemy's formation, trying to take out some of their key units. They are very good at anti-elite infantry. So let me just show you one here. So this is what they look like. So you can see that it is a very large figure compared to the other Custodes. He has his same guardian spear with also a knife, same red plume. They all have the red skirt, or the red, I don't know what you want to call it, skirt, waistcloth, I'm not sure. But yeah, I really like these guys. I only have 5 of them, but for a Custodes army, having 5 of these guys is plenty. Also, I just wanted to quickly showcase the size difference between a Allarus Terminator Custodes versus a Warden who is a standard Custodes. So yeah, you can see that it is quite a big difference between the two of them. So leading my Allarus Terminators, I have a Shield Captain in Allarus Terminator armor. So this is him here. As you can see, he is still wearing the same kind of armor, and he is still using the same kind of weapon, with a silvery gray blade this time. And his cloak is embroidered with a lot more detail. So there is a lion on the bottom, as well as a laurel wreath. Really nice unit. There is some more decorations around the back of his armor. You guys might not be able to make it out super clearly, but his armor is a lot more fancier than his comrade Terminators. So really cool. He serves the same purpose as the other shield captains, except having the Allarus Terminator armor makes him a lot more efficient at essentially every single thing he does. So yeah, let's move on. So next up we have the Aquillon Terminators. Now, these guys are fairly similar in terms of purpose to the Allarus Terminators. I'll just give you a good look at the model. The main difference, the only real difference between the two of them is their weaponry. So the Allarus Terminators have their guardian spears, and the Aquillons have a flamer, I believe it's called a flame pike, but I could be wrong, and solarite claws. So they are great at melee and anti-infantry firepower. Now, fun little story about the Aquillon Terminators is my local hobby store has a thing where they have a bin in the back that is filled with spared parts or things that people have thrown out that you have to pay €5, and then you can go in there and take whatever you want. So I was in there looking around. I came across these 3 Aquillon terminators. Unfortunately, they were already painted, so I didn't get the chance to paint them myself. But I just thought that since I had none of them in my army, I might as well pick them up. So I got these 3 lads here for €5, which is mental. Anyway, let's move on to our next unit. So next we have our Grav tank annihilator. So this is our one and only Custodes vehicle. Now, a couple of things to say about this. So this is a Grav tank, so it actually has a gravity field underneath it, pushing it up, making it float, which is crazy that the Custodes are out here with actual science fiction technology. Meanwhile, the Space Marines and Imperial Guard still have to use tanks with treads. This normally goes on a little base that makes it look like it's hovering, like a little clear thing that goes underneath it. Mine just would not stick on, so I just glued it right onto the base. Now this is the Annihilator variant of it. There are 2 different variations of this tank, one for anti-infantry and one for anti-vehicles. The Annihilator, which is the one I have here, is the anti-vehicle. I just thought that for an army of infantry, having a dedicated anti-vehicle unit would be useful in essentially most situations and most games. So yeah, I really like this unit. I think the paint job on it turned out really well with the gold and the red. And yeah, so that's the only vehicle we're going to be seeing in this army. But yeah, let's continue. So next up, we have the Contemptor Galatus dreadnought. I hope I said that correctly. Let me just get this to focus. Here we go. So this is the Custodes version of a dreadnought, and is essentially good at everything, being able to do any job needed extremely well, be it melee, shooting, anti-vehicle, taking out enemy cover, stuff like that. This lad is your man. He also has a weapon on his wrist which he uses to fire, so that's his long-range ability. He has these white Aquillas on his armor, as well as having the red on his shoulder pauldrons. Has this kind of interesting backpack, again with an Aquila on it. The reason the Custodes have a lot of the Aquila in the armor or on their banners is because they were all handpicked by the Emperor himself. So they are essentially they only take orders from him. They don't listen to anyone else. Maybe Gilliman, but that's a rant for a whole other day. But yeah, this is him. I really like this unit. Again, I only have one of him, but that's really all I need. And yeah, just for a little comparison, here is a side-by-side of the Custodes dreadnought and a Blood Angels dreadnought. This is just a normal Blood Angels dreadnought, not any of the specialized ones. But yeah, you can definitely see the differences. This one almost looks like an actual mech or something you might see in like Armored Core, where this one is definitely a lot more bulky and blocky and more lumbering and stuff. But yeah, really cool. Just thought that I would show you guys the difference, so let's move on. So next we have this guy, who is one of the most important and most powerful units in the entire army, and that is Captain Trajann. I hope I am pronouncing that correctly. Allarus is the Captain General of the Adeptus Custodes, meaning that he is essentially the commander or the leader of the Custodes. As for his abilities, he is probably the best of the best of the best of the Custodes, meaning he is one of, if not humanity's best fighters and soldiers. His model here is just look at it. It's incredible. So let's go through it. So we have his face, which showcases that he's old. He has white hair and a beard. He has all of these ornaments decorating his armor. He has his massive axe, power axe, again with an Aquillon on it. And this huge red cape, again with an Aquillon embossed on it. And then a lion skin over his his right shoulder. Yeah, really cool. So our next unit is not actually part of the Adeptus Custodes. However, I run her regardless based on some of her abilities, but we will get to those later. And this unit is Lord Inquisitor Draxus. So Draxus, like I said, is not part of the Adeptus Custodes. She is an Inquisitor, specifically an Inquisitor of the Ordo Xenos, meaning she handles issues and situations regarding aliens. Because she spends so much time investigating aliens and the presence of Xenos, she has developed a liking for their technology, specifically Eldar technology, which has actually labeled her a heretic amongst many in the Imperium. As you can see, she comes with a Eldar pistol. I actually do not know what this weapon's called. I know nothing about the Eldar, I apologize. And I have given her myself an Eldar helmet, just to match her weapon. So she is a really cool character, and also she has a little pet dragon, which, come on. So you might be wondering, apart from the, cool lore on the pet dragon, why do you use her with the Custodes? And that is to do with her buffs. Now, the buffs, I do not know verbatim off the top of my head, but they essentially have to do with things regarding aiming, accuracy, and hit chance, and being able to re-roll shots. And for an army that is already extremely overpowered when it comes to their shooting, adding her into the mix makes them almost unstoppable, to the point that it's almost not fun to use her in games, because it just makes the game too easy. And that's not me saying that, oh, I'm so good at the game. I'm actually not that good, but she just makes it so much easier, because you can essentially get so many shots off with an already super accurate army, made it even more accurate. But yeah, that is Lord Inquisitor Draxus. Let's move on. So our next group of units are not part of the Adeptus Custodes. They are the Sisters of Silence, who work alongside the Adeptus Custodes. The Sisters of Silence are what are called blanks, which, to put it very simply, are anti-psychers. So if a psyker were to come near one of these women, or to try and attack them, best case scenario is the psyker would have a seizure. Worst case scenario is the psyker would take themselves out, to put it politely, simply to stop the agony that just being near these women causes. That is how strong of blanks that they all are, and every single one of them is a blank. So like I said, they work with the Custodes. While they do not have the same level of power armor or any of the augmentations, the fact that they are blanks is extremely beneficial, as being a blank is extremely rare. The way that they work with the Custodes is that the Custodes are perfect for dealing with materium threats, so anything physical or anything that is a threat and is in the materium. whereas the Sisters of Silence, since they are blanks, are perfect at dealing with any enemies or threats from the Immaterium or from any Psychers. So against Psychers or demons or anything from the warp, the sisters are able to deal with them extremely efficiently, which is why they make such a good team together. So in the Sisters of Silence, there are 3 different types of roles, and these are Prosecutor, Witch Seeker, and Vigilator. Each of them have their own specific and unique duties. For example, the Witch Seekers are tasked with like hunting down and eliminating Psychers, but the Sisters of Silence work with the Adeptus Custodes in their duties in protecting both the palace and the Golden Throne with the Emperor on it. While they do not have the augmentations and the same level of power armor as the Custodes, whereas the Custodes are great against any physical threats or materium threats, the Sisters of Silence specialize in dealing with threats from the Immaterium or from Psychers. So together they make this great team. And yeah, I'll show you guys now just an example of one of each of the different types of Sisters of Silence. So let's see them. So we will start with her. So this is a Prosecutor Sister of Silence. What differentiates her is her use of a bolter. So prosecutors just use bolters. And as you can see, this is some of the different types of armor that these sisters use. Very similar to the Custodes. So this sister here has a full face helmet, as you can see. Then next we have a Vigilator. The Vigilators are the sisters who use power swords and melee weapons. Really cool. Again, if you are going up against a Psyker, you can just walk up to them as slowly as you please and kill them in melee. Yeah, so she also is utilizing a full face mask or full face helmet. And lastly, we have the Witch Seeker, Sister of Silence. A Witch Seeker is a sister who uses a flamer or sometimes a melter. All 3 of these women, as well as the rest of the Sisters of Silence, wear their hair in the same kind of ponytail style that the Custodes helmets have, which I think is just a really cool sign. Now, the Sisters of Silence are not necessary for a Custodes army, but they are definitely useful to have, and I just personally like them because of their lore, and I just love everything about them. Their lore, their design, them being blanks, and the effect that has on Psychers, because that's one of the weaknesses of the Custodes on the tabletop is Psychers and magic. But if you bring some of these girls with you, then that will not be an issue. So anyway, that is it for the standard Sisters of Silence. Let's get on to who I have leading them. So leading my Sisters of Silence, I have 2 units, and technically these 2 units actually go together, but we will start with the first one, and that first unit is Tanau Alea. This is her here, if I can get it to focus. So Alea is a Sister of Silence. She was part of the Witch Seeker group, and participated in the 13th Black Crusade on the side of the Imperium. After the defeat of the 13th Black Crusade, Alea was made a Knight Centura because Guilliman restored that order, so now she is a knight and an extremely powerful blank. So she is essentially the leader of the Sisters of Silence. I really like her. She comes with another unit, and the 2 of them are kind of pairs. I will get to him in a second, but I just want to have a quick look at her model. So you can see her here. She has her hair in that kind of plume ponytail style with the black cape and 2 hands on her sword. I really like this model a lot. So the other unit leading the Sisters of Silence here is Valerion. This is him here. So Valerion is a shield captain in the Adeptus Custodes and is known not just for his ability to fight, but for his ability to think as well. He is extremely intelligent and puts that to good use and is a brilliant tactician. A lot of the time, him and Alea are paired up, and over time, the two of them have kind of become friends and have this strong bond between them. So they work very closely with each other, and yeah, both of them excel at what they do. And just for his model, I really like it. I like the detailing on his face, and you can see around some of his armor. It looks really, really cool. You can see the giant knife that he has, as well as his guardian spear. And yeah, doesn't have a cape on, but I think that actually works well. It just differentiates him a little bit from the rest of the units. But yeah, let us continue going through. So for our last unit for the Custodes, we have the jet bikes, or as they are called, the Virtus Praetors. So these are extremely fast-moving vehicles with 1 occupant. These bikes are renowned for their speed and their durability and their weapons. They are armed with a salvo rocket launcher as well as a hurricane bolter, and each of its riders has a interceptor lance, so making it really, really cool. So let me just pick one up and show you. I'll take it off the base. So this is what it looks like. So you can see the Aquila is on the front with the eagle head being right in the front. And then engines at the back, as always. Again, these are gravity based, so these float. You can see the pilot here with the lance. The lance is absolutely massive. It's almost as big as the jet bike itself. Really, really cool unit. I'm usually not the biggest fan of these kinds of units in games. However, I do have to admit, these are so much fun to use in game. Like, it should not be this fun to use these, but it is, and that's why I love them. So as for who I have leading my Virtus Praetors, I have 2 units. So the first one is our second shield captain. So he is basically identical to the first one that we saw. Few small little changes, like the cloth on his waist and back are now red instead of white. You can see the embroidering a little bit better now that it's red. And this guy also has a axe instead of the guardian spear that the first guy had. I personally think both of them are cool in their own way. I actually prefer the white on them, but maybe that's just me. And the second leader I have here, who is actually the leader of the jet bikes on the tabletop, is the shield captain on a jet bike. So this is him here, but let me just kind of try and focus so we can have a better look at him. So the bike is identical to the standard ones, and same weapons, same lance. The captain has it straight up in the air. Only real difference in the models is that the captain has his plume on his helmet, which is a lot longer, based on it blowing back in the wind, as well as having some of his waist cloak showing. But yeah, that is it. This is actually the leader that I use when I use the jet bikes, because he provides quite a good bit of bonuses and buffs to the rest of not just the other bikers, but the army as a whole. So everyone, that has been my Adeptus Custodes army. Like I said at the start, this army is a lot smaller compared to the ones I have uploaded and the ones I have yet to upload, but I love them all the same, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you are a fan of the Custodes, let me know in the comments who is your favorite unit. Personally, I think Alea or the Sisters of Silence are my favorite, but I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts. So again, thank you so much for watching. My name has been Crimson, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good evening.